Okay, 6:33. This meeting is now in order. Okay, I am going to take roll call. Karen Waters.
Present.
Brian Allen.
Here.
Alfredo Castillo is absent. Chris Coyle. I do not see him. Absent. Graham Zach.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Sid Gold.
Present.
Thank you. Thomas Hartfield. Absent. Raheem Kazi. Unmute yourself, please. Raheem. Okay, we'll come back to him. Ralph Croy.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Nathan Lee.
I'm here.
Thank you. Jason Lester.
Here.
Thank you. Robert Moore is absent. Janitza Pantoja.
Present.
Elvin Waters.
Present.
Oscar Jimenez, myself, I am present, of course. Raheem. Unmute yourself. Okay, we're going to move forward and we will call him again when he gets back. I just want to make note of it. So let's see. Pledge of Allegiance. All right, who wants to do it today? Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
What about Mickey?
Mickey's on the participant. Mickey, would you like to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'll do it.
All right, Wade, go for it, man.
Okay, place your right hand over your hearts. Veterans salute and start. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and
justice for all. Excellent. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay. And with that, we will move on to item B, comments from our Dunn representative. And I do not see Gibson on the call. Let's see here. Nope. So we shall move on to item C, comments from CD12, LAPD senior lead officers, elected official reps, government agencies. And
Nobody from there either.
What's that?
Nobody from them either.
Yeah, no, we have Mr. Blake Clayton from Sheila Kuehl's office.
I was talking about from CD12.
Oh, from CD12. Well, Gibson just came on board. Gibson, your timing is impeccable. We were just talking about updates from Dunn. So you, my friend, have the floor.
Which is kind of funny because my mom just called me right now. She was like, "You've been quiet all day today." So hi, everybody. Hope you guys had a good day today.
Don't make it noisy.
Yeah, so I was just like, I call you right back, Mom. Happy election day. Hope everybody got the opportunity to vote today. So just wanted to highlight a couple of things. We are still following up with our neighborhood councils in regards to sharing the Zoom cost. As you know, we've been sort of singing that song. We're asking our neighborhood councils to take action. It's going to be a $200 fee for the whole year for the Zoom license. So we are being consistent and touching base with all our neighborhood councils in regards to that. Just also want to touch base and let everybody know we have new staff members who have been onboarded this week. So there'll be a couple of staff changes. So you will see in our website, but we have a new additional director. It is Angie Aramayo. She is going to be the director. She comes from, I think she'll get a chance to introduce herself, I think down the line, but we have a new director. Her name is Angie Aramayo. She's the director of awareness and engagement. And so they'll be onboarding. We also have a new director. Her name is, she's worked with the department. She was our public information officer. She is our director of communications. So we are, there'll be additional staff stuff updates coming soon. So just want to put everybody up on the heads up, just kind of an awareness of that. Want to touch base on as you noted, the monthly profile has had a few changes, like an update. So there's going to be a table of contents in your monthly profile. So just kind of detailing what's on what page. But in this month's monthly profile, I think what we're just highlighting is board member trainings, our civic leader. I know there's want to thank Chris Coyle for being able to just follow up and all board members and Oscar and everybody on getting up to date with your training. So if you need help getting a walkthrough of Cornerstone, especially when it comes to requesting a new training, please let me know. Sorry, I had to cough out and I don't want to do it on camera. So just wanted to highlight in regards to that. Also, just want to let everybody know, we are tracking two assembly bills right now, which is AB 1944 and AB 2499. Right? The first one is on open and public meetings. It would require local governments to prominently offer the virtual option of virtual participation in public meetings. It also allows local bodies that meet remotely to waive the provision of this Brown Act that requires public officials to disclose their private address if they participate in meetings virtually. The other one is also AB 2499, which is teleconferences. This one would allow, this measure builds on the use of teleconferencing during a state of emergency, and it would allow local agency to continue using teleconferencing during council meeting if at least quorum of the members of the legislative body participate in person from a single location, clearly identified on the agenda that is open to public and situated within the local agency's jurisdiction. So please take a look at those assembly bills. If you guys need me, I'll send them to you. That's something that we just want to let everybody know about that. Also, so one thing to touch base upon, the NC, the self-assessment for neighborhood councils is, what do you call it, has been removed, right? So just want to let everybody know that's written. Yes, Mr. Goldwood, how can I help? Do you have a question?
Can you repeat that? That first assembly bill number?
1944.
Thank you.
And then, so the self-assessment has been removed. So as you know, is usually part of the funding process. So one thing, just want to touch base everybody and just let you know, over time we've seen that as the funding has completely been moved to the funding division, to the city clerk. So the self-assessment has been removed. And this is, I think, it's just it's still strategic. One thing that you'll notice, or we've noted in the monthly profile, is we talk about how we believe it reflects the strategic planning and processes needed in the neighborhood council system. So we'll be working with all our boards. So just something to let everybody know if this is some action that the board wants to continue to take. I will be reaching out to the elections and outreach team in the course of next week. I'll be out this week because my brother is graduating from grad school. He is a PhD candidate, so we're definitely going to be celebrating his achievement. But I will be reaching out to in the next 2 weeks when I come back. Want to do an election outreach 101. Now that we have additional funding to do election outreach. The department's intent is to meet with all its neighborhood councils, do an election 101, and then an election game plan and outreach strategic plan will be announced in June, early July. So it's something that we want to just make sure that we start following up on, start working on. It's something that has been mentioned in our neighborhood council surveys, making sure that we provide our boards with full and adequate support.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you. So see, you created noise. But first, before I pass on to questions, I want to congratulate you and your family and your brother. That's a huge achievement. So congratulations.
His achievement is my new pressure. My mom's like, so when are you gonna get a PhD? It's like, we'll see. I have a master's already, mother. So one day at a time.
There you go. So
Yeah.
and thank you for reminding everybody about the recertifications and taking, bringing those up to date.
Yeah.
So yeah, I finally did mine last week and I did them all in the same day. So that was kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
so I just encourage everybody whose dates are coming up, expiring, you can actually stay ahead of it and you don't have to necessarily wait till they expire. Is that correct, Gibson?
Yeah, so once as they get closer, like if you see like you're a month or two away, just jump on Cornerstone. We'll get the update will be reflected. It takes about 3 to 5 days. The department is still onboarding a lot of team members in the administrative team. So once we have a stacked up admin team, updates will be able to be much faster. So we're just asking folks to give us a few days, 3 to 5, but we usually just want to make sure that it gives us the ability to make sure that those updates are reflected on our website.
Excellent. So with that, I'm going to pass the floor to Karen. You've got your hand up. Go for it.
Hi, Gibson. Congratulations to your family. That's fantastic. To your
Thank
brother.
you.
The question about the election outreach, I don't believe you were with the department. I know Brian was there. At the Onion in North Hills, there was a huge gathering of neighborhood councils and outreach. And that was, of course, pre-pandemic. So has the department taken into consideration non-COVID and COVID outreach?
So that's what's been worked on right now, is to sort of how does that look like, and how does that what type of outreach we will be doing, and that's the vision. I think it's just incorporating both action plans moving forward. So yeah, but it's something that's being considered.
Excellent. Thank you. And our participants, we have, is that Mr. or Mrs. Hales? But you should be able to unmute yourself. Oh, sorry.
Nope, there we go. You're good.
There we go. Okay.
Don't tap it again, you'll mute me.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Gibson, quick question. On a fiscal year administrative packet and annual budget form workshop, on the list that's posted shows workshops and training. What's the difference between the two? Thank you.
I don't believe there's a big difference in regards to a workshop and a training. I think the only difference will be if there's additional language saying that it's required, or it's just additional training. Is one thing that we want to continue providing moving forward. Is we want to continue leveraging Zoom to just be able to provide additional information, training guides, videos that give folks the ability to understand the neighborhood council process even more. So I don't think there's a difference between workshop and training. The only difference is if we say it's required, or it's just a supplemental or additional training that we're providing to our boards. I think that is the key word to look out for.
Okay, well, you split the list between workshops and training. Thank you.
Thank you. Gibson, thank you so much. I don't see any other hands. And let's move on to our next representative. So that would be Mr. Clayton from Sheila Kuehl's office.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Blake Clayton with Supervisor Sheila Kuehl's office. Just a couple of things to share with you tonight. First, I want to start off by saying that the LA River Master Plan is complete. If you would like to read over the document is quite large, or quite long, better said. It's about 512 pages. If you're interested in learning more, please feel free to let me know. I'm also going to send this out to the board so that you all have it. But I want to make sure to share that information as it is completed. The next thing I wanted to touch on briefly is the 818 Hotel. I'm sure you've heard of it throughout the neighborhood, throughout the San Fernando Valley. So the 818 Hotel earlier last month was approved. It got state funding through Project Home Key. The location is at 20157 Ventura Boulevard, and it's going to be interim housing for families experiencing homelessness. The state's going to get back to us with a little bit more information on some things, but for the most part, we're hoping to begin that project. This proposal, it's looking to have 100 units of interim housing for families. 25% of the families living in these apartments will have family members who are likely disabled or are vision impaired. Another concern that came up in regards to this location is that the city and county filed for a location that is near, they're pretty much adjacent to each other, which is the extended stay. The city's location is going to be for seniors, so it's a little bit different. However, they have not gotten funding yet, so we're still waiting to hear back. At the location, there will be security 24/7, so concerns about that should be covered. And the leading agency for this location will be Hope of the Valley. So I wanted to just let you know, and if you want to know more, please feel free to reach out to me. I just kept it very brief in regard to the information that I have. Next thing I want to touch on is COVID-19. COVID-19 cases are on the rise again. There has been talks, I will share this, there has been talks of going back into a mask mandate. I don't think it's going to happen. Numbers are slightly trickling down. Hospitalizations are down a little bit, but the fact that our numbers have increased quite significantly in the last month or two is a bit alarming. So we're monitoring, and as information continues to come in, if anything does take place, I will let you know. And then just to cover a couple of things that are taking place. First, in regard to the 16557 Berkshire Street case, I can't share too much in regard to what's taking place, but I will let you all know that city attorney and county council, our county council did meet. I will be meeting with my county council come Thursday in regard to our next steps to get to propose civil action and a receivership in regard to that location. So just giving you a heads up, that project is moving forward, and we're looking to address the whole hoarding situation taking place. That is all I have for you tonight. Any questions, please feel free to let me know.
Yes, so I do have some. On that property, what is the mean as far as receivership? Does that mean the government taking control of that property?
Receivership, I believe, is when it's like kind of like putting a lien on a property and essentially taking the property from the individual and using the funds of that property to clear the property. It's something along those lines. I couldn't really tell you. I don't know too much. I'm going to learn a lot more come this Thursday.
Okay.
But it's something along those lines.
Okay, I'd be interested to know specific, what exactly, and also how long would something like that take? So thank you. I do have some hands up, so let me just go around. Sid, you had your hand up first, so you've got the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. My question has to do with what the supervisor's view of the court decision regarding the district attorney not enforcing the laws that he's supposed to enforce, that the court found him out of compliance. And I was just wondering what the supervisor's view about his behavior, if any of you.
Yeah, I'm not working in the main office anymore, so I'm not exactly privy to that. I could inquire if you'd like to see what I hear. Our policy deputies, especially the ones working on the justice team, will likely know what her stance is. If you'd really like to know, but I'm not, since I'm not.
Yes, I would like to know. Yes, I would like to know, because she's been quiet. I haven't seen any comments from her office regarding.
Let me type up your question. Give me 1 second.
Okay. I am going to go to Wade. Wade, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Blake. My name is Wade Hunter. I'm the chair of the Sunshine Canyon Landfill Community Advisory Committee. It is a committee that was established by the city and the county of Los Angeles, and its members are appointed by them. We made an invite to Sheila Cool to send a representative to the February or April meeting. It was a little bit late. That would be my fault, but the May meeting, they assured us they would have somebody there, and basically they just blew us off. They didn't attend, they didn't send a representative. And I wish that you would take that back to her, that her staff is not representing her properly. As again, this is a community meeting. People are supposed to attend, city and county employees are required to attend that meeting also to represent the various agencies. Again, this is because of the Sunshine Canyon landfill and the problems that we've had. But she didn't turn, I tried to make arrangements. I gave them all the information and the data. At the last minute, they turned around and they canceled on us and said, well, there's other people from the county attending. I said, that is not a requisite for attending our meetings. So I really would like you, if you can, to take that back to her, that she should be sending a representative to the STL-CAC committee meetings, which are only bi-monthly, so that's every 2 months. The next one will be in July.
Can you then, Mr. Clayton, can you make note of that, please? And then.
Yeah, I'm making note of that now.
Yep.
You said so next meeting is in July. Is it the first, second week? What?
It's the second Thursday of the month. Give me a second here and I'll have a look at the date.
Okay.
Second here.
In the meantime,
July 14th.
Okay.
At 3:00. If you'd like to send me email to whunter01@aol.com, I will give you all the information. Our community was disappointed, really disappointed. We still have attendance by the 5th district because we were still in the 5th district, and they have maintained a representative there, but since we've been changed to the 3rd district, and Sheila actually already met with Sunshine Canyon landfill people. We couldn't.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Send a representative to
So
the community.
we need to move on, but so thank you. If you guys can coordinate those efforts, that would be great.
I'll send you an email. We can.
Thank you, Wade.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, and Brian, you've got the floor.
I just want to keep in front of you, Blake, the fact that, again, absolutely nothing has been said about the Aliso Canyon gas field, the issues going on there, or the DPH movement on the RFP. Nothing has been said. Nobody is bringing it to anybody's attention. Sheila Kuehl obviously does not care about it and is just going to let DPH do what they want. But it's sad that there is no communication on it whatsoever. Thank you.
Okay, so real quick on that, Brian, I have sat on some meetings between DPH, our office, and the CAG in regard to that location. I need to double check on the latest that's taking place, but there is interaction. I know the last meeting between our office and the CAG, it didn't go the way the CAG wanted to, and it was a bit of to use better words, it was a very high energy meeting. But I will share that the supervisor does care. She's not doing it the way the community wants, in so many words. She's trying to find the best resolution and get the right scientists out to the area. That's really the best thing I can share with you in regard to that situation. But if you want to know more, I could definitely look more into it and get back to you with that information.
I'm a member of the CAG, Blake, so I know what was going on there. But
okay.
My problem is with your response, you made it worse because you did have some information that you could have shared with this council, which didn't meet with you before, and you didn't bother to do so. Thanks.
Okay. Well, as I shared, I do not want to give erroneous information. I am not the lead. I've been listening in on the sessions, but I'm not. The last thing I want to do is give you erroneous information and, like you said, make things worse. So I'm sorry.
Thank you, Blake. Let's see. So Karen Waters, you've got the floor.
Hello, Blake. Thank you again for working with the Bircher Street neighbors. They are, after 5 years of dealing with the situation, they have hope. So I know I said that the last time you were here, but again, thank you so much. And I did, and my question is about is there a Civil and Human Rights Department now open with the county? I know, I heard about a meeting, but I couldn't attend, but it was similar to Capri Maddox's department.
I believe there is one opening up under the what department was it? I need to check and verify, but yes, I believe there is one opening up in the county of Los Angeles.
Okay, well, you have my email, so if you could
Yeah,
please
I
email
can
me
email
when
you.
you have a chance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Alvin.
Yes, hi, Blake. Just a quick question, just something related to the voting process. I noticed this had to be probably one of the longest voting, specifically because of the, the judges' terms being up. Just one thing I'm curious about is if you have any recommended resources that I could use, to review like any prior cases on our county judges that are voted on for each precinct, because I found that to be a little bit of a struggle when I was voting.
Okay, so you're looking for more data on county judges?
Something, well, somewhere along the lines of prior cases that maybe that they may have been involved in that have already been ruled upon. I mean, because I just feel that gives me a better sense and just a better component of my decision making and voting, and I'm sure other people may agree.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll reach out to the registrar recorder and see what I can do with regards to that information.
Okay, should I contact you for a follow-up on that?
Yeah, I can grab your email from the Empowered LA website, but if you'd like to email me, that works too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin. And lastly, we have from participants, Mr. or Mrs. Hale. You have the floor.
Thank you. It'll be quick. Blake, thank you so much for what you're doing. I have a question that kind of tags off of Brian. There's a pocket park called Aliso Creek Pocket Park, and that's in Northridge.
Okay.
And it is adjacent to a wash or a canal, if you will, concrete, that runs all the way up the hill. And guess where it generates? From Aliso Park. We have made several phone calls to get the water tested down here in the flat part of the valley. But everybody we talk to just kind of like shrugs their shoulders and says, I don't know. I'd like to bring that to your attention so that you might be able to get somebody. We've called Bureau of Engineering, 4 or 5 different groups, the county. They all said they'll get back to me, and that was weeks ago. So our concern is that water is coming down off the hill. And because we don't have identified the contaminants up the hill, we don't know what's in that water that's coming by us. So I appreciate if you could pass that on.
Okay, sure thing. You said, so you've reached out to public health, reached out to the Bureau of Engineering,
Yep.
and you haven't received any responses.
Zero.
Okay,
It may follow the same pattern as Brian's followed for the past 5 years, and I'm just recent. So
okay.
appreciate it if you could do that. Again, that's Aliso Creek Pocket Park.
Right, I got it. And it's coming from the Aliso Park up the hill.
Up the hill. The wash up there washes into this canal coming down the hill. So
Got
appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clayton, thank you for your time and your input. So let's see, we are done with Mr. Clayton. So next, and I can't get him to the panelists, but I see, is that Richard on the call? Richard? Can you hear us? Unmute yourself. There.
Got the okay to turn on my microphone.
There you go. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got to push that little button.
Yeah.
You've got the floor, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Just recently, we had the formal memorial service for that officer from Devonshire, of 4 years at Devonshire, who was suffered a deadly spine injury and succumbed to those injuries. during a training exercise. It's quite sad. He was there for 4 years, a well-liked young officer. As you well know, we have the Summit of Americas going on right now in Los Angeles. And then the whole police department is on 12 on, 12 off hours until through this Saturday. Over the past, this is a report from CPAP on May 16th. Captain Burns said there's been an increase in crime in Devonshire. In the past 4 weeks, it'll be now 6 weeks, there's been 2 shootings a week. So you should please be aware of the crime in your area and keep a vigilant eye out. As for crimes in A35, basic car A35, which is Parker, basically north of Chatsworth Street and North Granada Hills, violent crimes are down 14%. Property crimes are up 24.5%. Burglary is up 150%. And that real number is 70 versus 28. Grand theft auto is up. Burglary and theft from motor vehicles is up 62%. So obviously the same advice, make sure you secure your car, your garage doors, and don't leave anything outdoors that you use to break into your house. For the Sellers area, which is another part of Granada Hills, more toward the east of Balboa, there are a total of five Part 1 crimes. Robbery is up 35%. Aggravated assault is up 4.8%. Total violent crimes is up almost 14%. Burglary, again, is up 107%. Grand theft auto, 24.5%. Burglary and theft of motor vehicles, 15.4%. And property crimes up 12.3%. So that's the crime breakdown and our 2 officers that cover our area. I'll also like to point out that in August, they're going to have the National Night Out again. And the police department is asking you if you'd like to obviously get a tent to do the annual outreach. It'll be at Northridge Park on, what day is that?
What night is that?
I think it's the night you guys can't make it.
Probably a meeting night.
Yeah, I think it's a meeting night. It's August the 2nd, Tuesday, August the 2nd. Yeah, your meeting night. It goes from 6 p.m. to about 8 o'clock sundown. So if you can possibly make it, send a auxiliary crew over there, do some outreach. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Sid, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard, for all your hard work. I appreciate it. Anyways, the question is, maybe you have the answer, you don't, but who puts the bill for this Conference of the Americas security?
I have no idea, Sid.
But it sounds like it's going to be an enormous bill.
I'm sure it is.
And okay, so, but you don't know.
No, I don't know who's paying for that.
Okay, thank you.
Ask the mayor.
I don't think he's as receptive as you are. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we're going to move on. But before I do move on, I want to make sure that we do account for Raheem. Raheem, can you please state that you are in attendance, please? I can see you, but just for the record.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so attendance is done. Let's move on then to item D. Public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. So if you would like to make a comment on any item that's not on the agenda, or is, I should say, please raise your hand. If you're calling in, I'm sorry, I believe to raise your asterisk, I believe. Asterisk 9, sorry. Okay, I don't see any hands. Okay, so we're going to move on to item E, President. I have nothing to share at this meeting, so we will move on to item F, Executive Committee. The first item is F1A, motion to approve the following board meeting minutes, May 3rd, 2022. In Alfredo's absence, I will take roll. Has everyone had an opportunity to see those minutes? I did email them, I believe it was Sunday night. And if you're not, I can share them. the only thing the one thing I did see on here that I would like updated is for those members who are absent to be noted on here. He did note the attendees, but not those that were absent. So that's the only change I would suggest. Any other comments or questions on them?
Oscar, motion to approve.
Okay.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Karen, do you mean motion to approve as amended?
Motion to approve is amended.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, do we hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all right, so let's move on, take a vote. So this is as amended, and I will discuss that with Alfredo. Okay, so any opposed, state your name. I hear none. Any abstentions, please state your name. I hear none. Therefore, this motion passes unanimously. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, and let's move on then to item F2, and that would be a presentation by Ben Steinberger, and he has a colleague with him, Josh Torres. So I am going to give the floor to Mr. Steinberger. They're from SoCal Gas.
Hey, Oscar.
Hello, sir. Thank you. I heard some background noise. Okay, we're muted. So you've got the floor.
Does that work? Thanks so much, Oscar. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me, I'm going to share. It says the host has disabled participant screen sharing. Is it
Let me
possible
give you co-host. That way you can share your screen.
Great, thank you.
And was Mr. Torres going to need that as well?
No, I'll share the screen and then Josh will just I'll scroll through the slides and Josh will actually be giving the presentation. I'm just going to
okay, thank you.
It's saying who can it's giving me the option of who can share.
You should.
I see. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Co-host now, so you should be able to.
I got you. Yeah. I got you. Sorry about that, everybody.
No worries.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So good evening to everybody. I really appreciate you giving us the time. We will not take a long time here. We're just it's just a project that we're working on in your area, and so we wanted to give you a quick heads up on it and just let you know what we're doing and what our plans are. There's a few moving pieces, and so we wanted to give you a heads up and then get it's a formality for us to present to you and get your acknowledgement of the project that the neighborhood council understands the work that we're doing. And so Oscar, tomorrow I'll follow up with you and hopefully get something in email format that just acknowledges that, and just to kind of keep everyone on the board aware that that's the process here. So we are working on it's a valve relocation an automation project. It's on the corner of Westbury and Balboa, and it's a pipeline safety program that we're working on here. And so, Josh, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. So I am going to hand this over to my colleague Josh and let him give you this presentation.
All right, thanks, Ben, and good evening, everyone. So yeah, this is our VSFV Valencia, GRC, Balboa, and Westbury project, or we just call it Balboa and Westbury for short. It's part of our PSEP portfolio, which the next slide can kind of go into a little background. PSEP is short for Pipeline Safety Enhancement Plan. It's a group that was formed as a result of the 2010 Public Utilities Commission mandates. As a result of what happened in San Bruno in Northern California. So they enforced the utilities to have us to test or rehabilitate some of our infrastructure. In particular, which applies to our project, would be to upgrade, replace, or retrofit the mainline valves in the system with remote or automatic shutoff capabilities. And yeah, thank you.
Oh, whoops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Got ahead of you there, John.
Yeah, that's a quick background on PSEP. Here's more on our specific project. So within the intersection of Balboa and Westbury, we have 3 distinct work sites up in the upper left corner, Westbury and Jimeno. We will be installing a deep well anode, which enables us to protect our pipelines from corrosion. And over in the middle of the intersection, we have there's actually an interconnect here at the intersection. There's a line going east-west, and we have 2 lines going north-south on Balboa. So those valves are manually operated. And for us to enact our PSEP program, we need to remotely automate those, but it does us no good in the middle of the intersection. So we will be removing those valves and relocating them to the 3rd work site, which is about 130 feet south of Westbury. We picked out a good spot there where we can put our valves and our automation equipment in cabinets. So that's the location in a nutshell. Project's estimated to take about 6 months, with a 5-day work schedule from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and tentatively starting in August. So the first work site, as I already mentioned, this is the deep well anode installation, where we have about a 10-inch diameter well, which we will be drilling. We won't be leaving anything above ground. Everything will just be in a little can you see in the street. You've probably seen hundreds of those just driving along any busy street. So we will need to shut off the westbound lane of Westbury to accommodate all the drilling equipment. So we will have K-rails up, and we will be yes, thank you, Ben. With the cursor, he's showing we're closing Westbury across Jimeno Avenue. And if you can move on to the next slide, please. Right, the middle of the intersection, these are the manual valves that we will be removing. Can't quite make it out, but you can see we typically have about an 8 or 10-inch diameter can in the street. It's typically painted yellow. You can see in the middle of the crosswalk there, and then one just in front of that white SUV. How we normally operate them now, we'll have a technician come out, they'll close off the lane and cone off traffic as needed, and pop the can off and use a tool to open and close the valve, which could take quite some time, especially in emergencies. So for us to automate that, we can't really automate that in the middle of the intersection there, so we'll have to remove those and relocate them south. So we will be digging up a portion of this intersection, excavating that to be able to remove all that equipment. And the 3rd slide, please. And here is the new location about 130 feet south of the intersection, where we will put the new valves in vaults so that our technicians can access the new actuators. And all the cabinets that you see there, they are to help facilitate the remote operation of those valves. So if anything were to happen, we have a main control center that could open or close those valves in a matter of minutes. So the impact, like I mentioned from the first work site, we will be using K-rail to shut off that westbound lane to install that deep well anode. That's for the first phase. The second phase, and mind, this is kind of because of how busy this intersection is. We're just doing daily, for phases 2 and beyond, we're just going to be doing daily closures. So these are all going to be coned off. And when we excavate, it'll be only during the working hours of 9 to 3:30. And once 3:30 hits, we'll remove the cones and plate over our excavations so that traffic can resume as normal. Yeah, so as you can see here, phase 2, we have the 2 southbound lanes, so traffic will be limited to a single lane on southbound Balboa. And next slide. There's phase 3, where we will be shutting off the westbound lane for Westbury. And we will be impacting that southwest pedestrian crosswalk on Balboa Boulevard, just because that's where we do plan to excavate for the vaults. So that's the major pedestrian impact of this location. We do plan to keep the crosswalks open otherwise for the rest of the intersection. Phase 4, we still plan to close off the westbound lane on Westbury. And again, the crosswalk on the southwest corner of Balboa and Westbury. Oh, and since we are closing the westbound lane on Westbury, that northbound left turn lane on Balboa Boulevard will also have to be closed off. Next one, phase 5. Here's where this is where we will do a majority of that valve removal in this phase. So we will be taking 2 southbound lanes and the full closure on Westbury. And phase 6 was also involved with the valve removal. So we did have to close off more of the middle of the intersection there. So again, 2 southbound lanes. I know this is a busy intersection, so we do not try to keep Balboa fully closed. We try to do 2 lanes at most here. And then phase 7, this would be to tie into our existing pipeline from our new location. So again, 2 southbound lanes on Balboa and a portion of the northbound lanes here. Again, the main benefit of this project, it improves public safety, not just for the public, but also for our employees. So then when they do have to go out and operate a valve, they're not thrown into the middle of the intersection. And it is part of our compliance to the CPUC mandated CPUC mandates. Sorry. And I think, is there one more slide, or is that? Oh, there you go. Notifications to residents. We typically do a notification within a 500-foot radius of our site, and we do make the appropriate AB 1937 notifications no less than 3 working days prior to the start of any work. And to all schools and hospitals located within the 500-foot radius of our site. That's our project in a nutshell. So I guess Ben and I are available to answer any questions or comments.
Okay, yeah, no, going to be, I've already made a list, but no, this is great. First of all, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys putting this before us, because this does give us time to coordinate and assist you in whatever way we can to also communicate with our constituents. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to the first person is Alvin. You have your hand up, so you got the floor.
Hello. Thanks, Oscar. First off, thank you guys for your presentation. Just a couple of questions that I do have though is I'm just curious as to how long, this has been in the works of planning. I mean, at least in my opinion, just given the fact that it's well known that, I mean, Balboa's traffic is extremely heavy, that I guess I'm just wondering how long this has been planned, because typically, it's ideal, at least in my opinion, that, this is something for us to know maybe further out in advance. And then I think the other question is if there's a plan to place signage up. My third question, which I didn't see in the presentation, is how long this work is supposed to take. Thanks.
Thank you, Alvin. So first question, this project, it's been in the works since about 2020, I believe, although this project has been handed off to me. So the exact details of how long it's been in the planning phase is it's kind of been on and off since we do know this is a very heavily trafficked intersection. Second question, you said I'm sorry, the second question was, again?
The second question was how you guys plan to,
Signage.
to put up signage to, as far as the start time and the end date. And then followed by my third question was I couldn't see what the timeline was for the scope of work.
Okay, so we do have a approved traffic control plan from the city of LA. So we do have a list of the appropriate signage that we need to put up. I wasn't able to fit all that in the presentation, but we do have the signage approved by the city of LA. The third question you mentioned, this is estimated to be a 6-month project for construction.
Okay, so I mean, you do kind of understand my reasoning behind, just why I guess I feel that it's essential that we know further out, because just keep in mind that's going to go into the fall schedule. So, I mean, that's where traffic is going to pick up. Is there a way that you guys can send us your traffic control plan as well?
Yeah, I can jump in here, Josh, if that's all right.
Sure.
We can definitely send you the traffic control plan. It's available online. And I think also a project like this project has a lot of moving pieces and there are a lot of phases to it. And I think that it comes off as, that there is going to be, there obviously will be an impact on Balboa and there will be traffic, but all of that is not happening all at once. Right. And I think that that's important to contextualize that, the 7 phases of the project are going to be happening individually. And as they happen, the other ones will open up. So there won't be lane closures going on. That all won't be kind of pancaked on top of each other. Right. Each one of those things will happen in their own time. And so that will happen over the course of 6 months. And so it won't be, I think it will not be as impactful as it may have seemed in the presentation. I also think a project like this being in the works for so long, like we try and give you guys as much of a heads up as possible. There's a lot of moving pieces that need to all fall into place before we are even able to answer the kinds of questions that we're able to answer tonight. And so we do try and give you as much of a heads up as we can. We can definitely look into trying to expedite that even further. But again, what we know, we try and come out here and present to you as quickly as we can.
So I appreciate that, Mr. Steinberger. So the phase is one thing. We will work with you to communicate this as much as we can to our constituents. And if that means putting it on our website, of course, and also sending email blasts to those who are on our list, we will be happy to do that. One thing that would be good based on the phases, right? That's going to be staggered during that 6-month period. So if you kind of have an estimated time frame for each of those phases and what that entails, meaning what road closures are going to be affected, that would be a nice kind of like a cheat sheet, if you will, that we could also put on our website and also maybe include in our emails.
Yeah, absolutely. So as was in the presentation, so we send out a letter to constituents within a 500-foot radius of the job site. And so I can send you a copy of that letter, and you're welcome to put that letter up on your website, and that has all of the information. As far as the phases of the project and the timeline, I think phase 2 obviously has to do with how long it takes us to get through phase 1, and we have estimates on those. I can look into what those estimates are and see what we have. Josh would be able to speak to that better than I would, but again, I think that with a project like this, you know,
sure, you may come up against hiccups or something.
Exactly.
But, just to have some kind of idea, just to at least residents, know.
Yeah.
Have a general idea of what dates these phases are going to be taken care of.
Yeah, so we can try and get that to you. That's no problem.
Thank you. Sid, you have the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate your presentation. I notice my question is sort of follow-up of Alvin's. You're giving notice to 500 feet, but a lot of people who are being involved are coming from miles away, and Santa Clarita and whatever. They like coming down Balboa. And is there any sort of communication going out to Santa Clarita about what may be happening to the Balboa shunt that they do to avoid the 405? So I just wondering what you're doing in the outreach in that area, because there's going to be a lot of surprise people coming down from Santa Clarita if they're not aware of that. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Sometimes we will increase the radius to 1,000 feet, which I certainly understand does not encompass Santa Clarita. No, I think with roads like this, it's very hard to alert the whole city as to what is going on with a closure like this. The reason why we have them during the working hours that we do is to try and minimize the amount of traffic. So from 9 to 3:30, we are hoping that we are not doing it during peak rush hour times, and that when people are coming southbound, that is happening before 9 a.m. and then obviously northbound after 3:30.
This is an aside. You weren't on Balboa today because it was lined all the way back up till like 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's unpredictable. And anyway, just a thought.
No, very good, very valid point, Sid. Thank you. Perhaps maybe something to consider is, I don't know if you have those mobile signs, right, that you can set on the side of the road just sometime before the project starts, so that the commuters can see it beforehand. Those coming from Valencia, Santa Clarita, etc. Anyway, something to think about. Mr. Hunter Wade, you got the floor.
Thank you. Before I start, I have 100 questions, of course. But I'd just like to say I understand the reason for replacing and putting in the remotely activated valves after seeing through one of their previous earthquakes and seeing Granada Hills on fire with about 100 or 200 foot flame going in the air from the broken gas line. It certainly behooves us to have the automated valves. What I would suggest, I can't request it, of course, but I would suggest that the GHNNC request that they also bring and make a presentation to our plum committee so that they can bring more detail to the plum committee so that they can discuss any issues that they have. I mean, I would have liked to seen a critical path thing here. I can't tell from what you've told me exactly how long each stage takes and exactly what's being blocked off where and when. You need to see all those details and presented in some sort of format that we can understand. I mean, I know you're trying to give a presentation here now, but I don't think you can possibly cover it And so that would be my suggestion, respectfully asking GHNNC to ask that you come before a plum committee. And even the safety committee, we might even do a combined one since there is a real issue here. 500 feet definitely doesn't do it for anybody. Even 1,000 feet doesn't do it because as you're being, maybe you're not aware that all roads in Granada Hills North are feeder roads to Balboa. In other words, we don't have any parallel roads that we can run along and get around most of the stuff. When people come through, all of our roads feed to Balboa. It's unique in Los Angeles. So I think you have to be, and as they're trying to point out to you, a lot more people are impacted by just a simple blockage of Westbury, which is a major street for many of us getting in and out of the community. So anyway, that's my comment. So again, please ask them to schedule a meeting with Plum. Thank you.
Thank
Oscar,
you.
Oscar, point of clarification, please.
Yes, Karen?
I'd like to,
That was an interruption.
sorry about that. I would like to just make a point on the outreach part of it, piece of it. Everyone's alluded a little bit to this, but it will start with working with the councilman's office, working with Assembly Member Valadares' office, and having a formal outreach presentation for the community. So that will hopefully minimize some of the additional conversations on that, but Plum and outreach and possibly public safety will unify together in working on that project. So we cover as much territory as we can. Thank you for letting me speak, Oscar.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, just to touch on that, I really do appreciate that, and we have presented to Councilmember Lee's office, and they have approved of the plan and you know, our signage and the traffic control plan, and the same with the fire department. So just in terms of doing our due diligence, obviously, like, you know, we go and we make sure that this is understood and approved by all stakeholders.
No, thank you. I mean, hey, look, that's a lot more than what we've seen with other agencies. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
So
that's good.
Anytime.
So Brian, you've got the floor. There's 4 more hands and then we're going to move on. So Brian.
Okay, let me first say, I guess I want to try and choose my words carefully. I'm not appreciative of this coming to us at this point in this manner. What I just heard is very disturbing, that it has already gone to CD12 and to the fire department, and it hasn't come to us before that. Nobody knows this area like the residents of Granada Hills. And I don't know if you understand it, but Balboa is not a street. Balboa is a highway, and it is designated that way. And I don't think this should have been planned out this way without the community knowing about it well in advance, because this is going to be not just a disruption, it's going to be a major disruption. And you have no clue, unless you guys live here, just how bad this will be on the people going through here. Now, would I be happy if Santa Clarita decided not to come down Balboa? Yeah, I'd be real happy. But that's not going to happen. It's just going to clog up Balboa like you have no idea. So my suggestion is that you don't work with CD12 or the fire department, but you actually get involved with DOT and make sure that there is some coordination between Southern California Gas and DOT with regards to signage, notification. And Karen, you're absolutely right. We need some town halls on this to let people know what's going on. You're right about Suzette. We need Suzette involved in this because Santa Clarita is very much involved in going to be impacted by this. And I guess the only word I can use is I'm appalled that we're just now hearing about such an elaborate situation. The question I have for you is this the only way this can be done? Is there no other options whatsoever? Or is this just something? And by the way, the earthquake was 1995 that you're talking about, Wade. It's 30 years later that you're trying to fix a problem that we saw destroy 4 houses on Balboa during an earthquake. 30 years later. That's ridiculous. If it's such an important situation, it should have been done a long time ago. But is this the only option for this situation?
So just to address your first point, so Josh referenced the approved traffic control plan that we presented to you, and that was approved by LADOT. And so that traffic control plan, that includes everything from where we're going to put stanchion cones and where we're going to put K-rail to how we're going to put the street back to where we're going to put signs. And so all of that has been approved by LADOT. And then in terms of the location, again, Josh may be able to speak to this better than I can. My understanding is that there's an enormous amount of research that goes into choosing a location for a project like this and trying to figure out where the best spot is. And this is the location that was chosen.
Well, you picked the absolute worst location in Granada Hills to do this. There is no place in Granada Hills which will create more disruption than what you just picked. Good job.
Hello.
Ralph, I'm getting there. Hold on. Okay, thank you. All right, Ralph, you've got the floor, and then two more, and we're going to move on.
May I speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the presentation of the safety valves and et cetera that you have here that were taken from the street, put on the side of the street, I saw no barriers to protect them. And we have many, what I call wayward cars and vehicles hitting things, and they should have some form of protection. You know, I think that has to be reviewed because, I mean, I think that our church, the Nolan Methodist Church, we've had the vehicles making U-turns and everything else, smashing into our gates, etc., leaving car parts, etc. And we have had people run into trees and everything else just off of Balboa. We need protection right on the street. Otherwise, we're going to lose the valve. We're going to lose the control. I'd like to have a presentation showing what safety features we have to protect those devices.
Okay, thank you. Something to consider. Ben, I don't know if that's considered.
Yeah, Josh, do you know what we have in place for that, if anything?
Yeah, there's multiple, since this is on a curbside, there are multiple things we have considered in the design. If there were a wayward vehicle, we do have valves that within those cabinets that automatically shut off the flow of gas. And depending on, the valves do have a fail-safe operation in case there is a loss of power. So we do have those options considered in our risk analysis when we do propose these projects.
But I think the question really, and Ralph, correct me if I'm wrong, is really, is there something being considered to mitigate the possibility of those casings being hit? Right? Like, be it those poles that, you know, I don't know. I mean, but then again, when you start thinking about that, then you start thinking about aesthetics as well. So anyway, don't know what the solution for that would be. But I'm glad that it does have security measures, so that's good to know. All right, let's move on. Karen?
Yes, thank you. Okay. So first and foremost, thank you again, Ben and Jose. I was wondering, have you had an opportunity to speak with Officer Sellers, who is one of the traffic control experts? That's one question. And also, if you have coordinated with all of the GPS services, so that would be Waze and all the other ones, for the time period, because those closures are going to be a heavy impact, but it is definitely workable. Look, I'm the outreach wizard here, if you want to call it that. So I think with some good planning, we can notify the community accurately. And then my last question is about outreach itself. what forms of outreach at this point has gone out to the community? And was it only, and if it was only that 500 feet, so that we know what you have done and what we need to do?
Yeah, those are all good questions. So I have not reached out to Officer Sellers. I'd be happy to circle up with you after this meeting. And if you want to get me his contact information or her contact information, their contact information, I'd be happy to reach out and touch base. In terms of Waze and all of the apps, I don't know the answer to that. I can ask our outreach people. I'm fairly certain though that stuff is crowdsourced. I don't know that they get a heads up on traffic and then put it into their program. Rather, I think, if there is a ton of traffic on a street, I'm pretty sure that those apps, Google Maps and the likes, will automatically update their systems and I assume reroute traffic, if they can't go in that direction. And then, I'm sorry, what was the last thing you asked?
What forms of outreach have you put out so far to the community in that area?
Yeah, so this is our first step into community outreach, talking to the neighborhood council and letting you guys know what's going on. As Josh said early in the presentation, right now our tentative start date is August 1st. These projects, there's a lot of flux that is involved, right? Things can change, things can happen, and they can get moved back, they can get canceled, like all kinds of things happen. And so we tend to try, and it's a fine line, right, of trying to figure out, like, letting you know with as much heads up as we possibly can, right? I mean, we're 2.5, 3 months out at this point. Between that and something that may not happen, right? Ringing alarm bells that may not be necessary to ring. So we do need to balance that, and we do. We certainly don't want to let you know about a project and then tell you that it's not going to happen. Because again, there'd be a lot of those. So again, our plan is, I believe that those notification letters that I mentioned to Oscar that go out to 500 or 1,000 feet, we can increase that radius to 1,000 feet. I believe the standard is that those go out 2 weeks ahead of construction, and at that point we're positive that that's the start date for construction, and that's why we wait to send something like that out. But I'm happy to get some kind of language to you, Oscar, and if you want to get that up on your website, and if you want to kind of give a heads up in an email blast that to the rest of the neighborhood council that this is something that's going to be going on likely August 1st, give or take around that area, I can certainly, we can work together on that.
So we will also be notifying our sister neighborhood councils, which are Granada South and Porter Ranch as well.
Sure.
So, and the Valley Alliance of Neighborhood Councils, SID, also them. So I think we'll cover a good. So if you could please give me your contact information so that we can.
My email's right there on the screen right now, if you want to grab it.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Raheem?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing to our attention this major project which is coming up in our neighborhood. And we were exactly the right neighborhood council to be approached first. And from here, we can spread it out to our neighboring councils. The other things I want to add about GPS system. As far as I understand, the GPS system looks at what is going on at that particular minute of the of the day. It doesn't look in advance what construction project is coming up or not. It just looks at where the clocks are, where the streets are open. So that is one for GPS system. The other thing which I have, I'm sorry, but I'm not following up as far as notification is concerned. When we have some construction going on a freeway, we don't get notified, even if it is right on Balboa and 118 freeway. It just happens. So why we are making such a big notification of this particular project? If you can elaborate on that, I'll appreciate it.
Yeah, So in terms of the crowdsourcing, as I said, I thought that was how it was done. What you're saying makes sense as well. I can ask our outreach team what they do in terms of contacting the GPS apps and figuring out how they tell that. I've never gotten that question before. It's a good question, and I can follow up with you on that. And then in terms of outreach, again, the way that the SoCal Gas does this is that this is the way that we do this. We, if we are working on a project, we will let you know with as much advance as we can give you. I can't speak to other agencies or how there are a lot of other agencies that have franchise agreements with the city of LA to go and do work on our streets and highways. And again, I can't speak to what it is that they do when they go out there. But if you see SoCal Gas trucks out there, we have, and there are traffic impediments. Like, we have let the neighborhood know, we have let the city council know, we have notified residents. That's all something that we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Wade.
Yes, thank you again for recognizing me for the second time. Ben, the issue of the cabinets. First off, that's an attractive nuisance for graffiti artists. You putting 5 cabinets out on Balboa Boulevard, an area where there isn't a lot of houses located, okay, at least not in that section of Balboa. We're going to get those things covered with graffiti constantly. Also, when you start putting cabinets up on sidewalks, okay, you provide a place. We have a lot of homeless people around. It's another place for somebody to camp out in. Another issue comes for us that when you start putting things up, people start running over them, as they've pointed out to you. The traffic, we're 100,000 trip ends a day on Balboa. And we get a lot of cars, and they don't go 45 miles an hour like the speed limit says. They're doing 65, 75. There's somebody on here will tell you, oh, they're even faster than that. They speed. As a matter of fact, the Westbury exit or the intersection of Westbury and Balboa on the northwest corner, a car not that long ago, probably within the last 5 months, went right up the whole embankment and crashed that whole corner, wiped out that whole corner because they were going so fast. And we're trying to tell you, now you're trying to put cabinets on the south west corner. And, the next time it happens, it's going to be there. Now, the question I might ask to you is, did you ever consider putting those cabinets down subterranean, put them into the ground, as opposed to putting them above? Because I know on Westbury, right at that intersection, your inspection pigs are all going in to the pipelines right there at the corner. And we've had a lot of experience with you guys because we've had Westbury shut down many times, okay? In the last, because you have a 5-year cycle that you go through to run your pigs through to inspect your lines. So I know at least in the last 10 years, we've seen Westbury close twice, okay? And it isn't pretty. And oh, by the way, you did have a break when you were working down there too. So there was a big delay. We had a lot of problems with you guys. And as it's pointed out, you nicely came to going to our councilman, you're going to LADOT and everybody. Before you came to us is the wrong move. You should have come to Plum first, the GHNNC Plum, and talk to us and at least get our input and address our issues before you go out and come back with a plan that says, hey, here's everything. Oh, by the way, we're putting up 5 stinking cabinets on the corner. What did you do? Did you look at doing anything else other than that?
Okay, Wade. Yeah,
anyway, I still make my request that you request that they come to at least Plum, to the safety committee, and Karen, I don't care, outreach, whatever. But you need to come to us and address our issues and bring all the information with you so that we can see it and go over it, because I think you guys are snowing us one more time. As again, we're used to what you guys do. You do this all the time to us.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's it for that. I think we're done with this item. So there are some, looks like there might be some action items there, Ben, so just coordinate with us if we need to, and we'll move forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. How do I do that?
I think, did I already do that? I think I already stopped sharing it, no?
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, you might have. Oh, yeah, okay, great. All right, perfect. Well, I really appreciate the time, Oscar, and I appreciate everybody's questions. And Karen, if you want to follow up with me on those things that we discussed, and I'd be happy to present more information to the PLU committee. And then again, as I said, Oscar, I'll email you tomorrow for just a formality and acknowledgement that we presented to the neighborhood council. And again, my email was up there. You have it, and so I'm happy to answer any questions. And as we progress in this project, I will also I plan to keep everybody in the loop.
Fair enough. Thank you,
All right.
sir.
Thanks so much.
See you
Have a good
soon.
night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on then to item F3. Discussion and motion to approve CIS to approve rewrite of the Bonk Code of Conduct as presented by Mr. Allen. I believe that was emailed to everyone as well. What was that, Sunday? Can't even.
That was Saturday.
Saturday, sorry, the days are flying. Okay, so I can put it on the screen. Brian, did you want to talk on this item?
Sorry, I was on the phone.
Here. I can.
Are
put
you
it-
on the code of conduct thing?
Yes, sir. F3.
The only, I don't know if you want me to talk about it or Sid to talk about it, but
Whomever, I can.
what I did is I took the Bonk Code of Conduct and I boiled it down to basic code of conduct commentary. That's all I did. I took out all the whereases and all the examples, the extensive amount of examples, because the examples should be looked up in a separate environment, in my opinion, that allows for people to ask the question if there is a code of conduct issue. It allows them to ask the question of what possibly could I have done wrong, so that it can be looked at and counseled properly. People don't abuse code of conduct because they want to. They are put in a position today of failing to meet the standards of code of conduct because we throw such aggressive language and so many things at them that we're telling them these days, you can't do that, you can't say that, you can't act that way, you can't be the person that you are, you have to change and be somebody else. And because of that, Bonk tried to write up something that told everybody everything that they might not be able to do, and there isn't a person alive today that could remember any of that. So I boiled it down to basics, and I'm suggesting that we take this code of conduct and we say, we support this, or whatever changes people want to make to it, and allow this to be the basic document. Now, the other thing that I had changed, and this was in conjunction with Sid, is that the code of conduct that they're trying to issue and want us all to accept is going to be so restrictive that, number one, stakeholders will not want to get involved with us because they will not want to put themselves in a position where they have accepted a position of responsibility in which they could be prosecuted, if not just criticized, for something that they did inadvertently, that they didn't even know they were doing wrong. And to me, that's just kind of dismissing the individual and putting them in a position where they don't have a choice. They can get stung just because they didn't know enough at the time. So I've put this back to the position where we affirm, we don't accept this, but we affirm that we understand it. All right, that we we understand that there is a code of conduct. We understand that this is the way we are supposed to conduct ourselves, and we will try to do that. And that's the whole purpose of rewriting this code of conduct. So everybody should have it, and obviously we're open to any discussion that you guys want to make on this. But I think the initial bonk code of conduct is far too restrictive. It will, in my opinion, it will force people out of the NC system because they will not want to put themselves in jeopardy, and stakeholders on committees will just not do it. There's no reason to put themselves in that kind of position. If you're making money, if you're paid to be an employee of the city, okay, maybe you need to recognize that there is a higher level of responsibility, but nobody in the NC system is getting paid. Nobody does this on a daily basis. So there's many things that we will forget from time to time. We don't remember everything that we're supposed to be doing all the time because we only do it once a month or twice a month. And that's just unfair to put that kind of burden on volunteers. So that's the reason that I've done this.
Okay, Sid?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, there's sort of a tenure that we in the neighborhood councils are just too busy looking out for ourselves, not conducting neighborhood business, and we're not paying attention. But I think the important thing is that if we look at this code of conduct, it interferes with our ability to communicate. If you look through all the details, it's as Brian was saying, there's so many inconsistencies and impossibilities. It even says a code of conduct does not match the law. It's not a legal thing. In law, there's intent. In this code of conduct, you may have no intent, but it may be misinterpreted by someone or interpreted to someone as an attack. One of the things in that code of conduct, if you argue against another person's opinion could be argued as a microaggression. And I'd like to just read a paragraph from an editorial in the Wall Street Journal today about a professor at Georgetown University who resigned after he was censured and then reappointed for making a comment on the internet. And his name is Professor Shapiro. After Professor Shapiro read the 10-page report by the school's official of institutional diversity, equity, and affirmative action, he decided he was being set up to be fired the next time anyone on campus objected to something he said or did. If a student or professor claimed to be offended by a statement, it would immediately trigger another investigation. Okay, and that's what I'm afraid of, that this is open to all kinds of interpretation. If you look at all that red line document, it lists a term called buffoonery, whatever that means, that if you commit buffoonery at I may be right now, I'm committing buffoonery, I don't know. And I could be censured for doing something like that. So I agree. I think Brian did a masterful job of condensing this and basically saying, as was in the old code of conduct, that we've read the document and signed it. Doesn't mean we accept it or agree with it. And that's my opinion on this. Thank you.
Okay, so I hear some of the concerns, some points, and that is, if this were to happen once, I can't imagine that if it were to happen once without intent, that the department or agency would take it to an extreme where, okay, they're going to penalize that person. I think what is the thing that's trying to be accomplished here is that we want to make sure, right, or they want to make sure that there is a level of respect, a level of common ground, if not common ground, that's not the word, but sensitivity to the differences that exist, and that we are careful. Now, as far as the timing of this and when it happens, it's not just when we are on virtual meetings or when we're, well, even if we get back to our physical location, this is something that we have to be cognizant of every time we're representing the board, and be it at the meeting, be it at a function, be it at a shredding event. So there's more times than just attending a meeting where we have to be cognizant of what we're doing or what we're saying. So I think that's what this is alluding to. So those are my thoughts. Karen?
Okay. Thank you, Oscar. I'm going to share with you some of the board members who are on their first term might not have heard this yet. Board member basics, got this in 2019. The trainings are California state mandatory for elected officials. Trainings must be updated on a periodic basis. Okay, and then personal liability for neighborhood council board members. And for those who've heard this before, please forgive me, but I have to share this to make, adding to Oscar's point, actually. What is the best way for you to protect yourself from being sued, or if sued, to obtain the city's indemnification? You should try to ensure that all of your conduct is exemplary, professional, especially in dealing with members of the public and vendors. If you need to communicate negative comments or take unfavorable action toward a third party, you should ensure that the exact language or conduct is pre-approved by your board and becomes the official position of your board. Most importantly, you should seek advice and approval from the city attorney before taking action. Often, the very act of seeking full board approval and legal advice will temper and moderate your actions and statements and help you reduce exposure to any liability. If you have a doubt, please contact your assigned regional attorney for advice. So this is to protect. There's discrimination, bullying, harassment, and it's important that it is clear. There's 98 other neighborhood councils besides Bernardo Hills North Neighborhood Council. So thinking about that and the things that have gone on, let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with this. The only thing I would say is to have the Arts, Parks, Neighborhoods, and Education Committee make the final decision of removing a board member. But as far as the rest of this, we're all grown-ups. We need to use emotional intelligence and discipline, self-discipline with how we conduct ourselves. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, Alvin?
Yeah, I just have to echo what our vice president is saying. Personally, I'm going to start by saying it just honestly seems like the subject is getting beaten to death over and over again. It's not that the intent is to control every single little thing that you say, because I'm personally open to, if somebody disagrees with anything that I say, I'm okay with that, because who knows, maybe I'm willing to understand maybe why they don't agree with me. But the standard that the objective of this is to basically set to not allow people to cross boundaries, because I hear over and over again of bullying that goes on throughout other neighborhood councils, hearing about people leaving neighborhood councils because of bullying. And to be quite honest, it's not an appropriate example that we want to set for our stakeholders. Understand what happens in leadership when you don't set an example for your stakeholders. If we make it okay to do so, then they're going to think it's okay to do so. We've seen this transcend in the environment that we're in now. So I mean, it's honestly, at the end of the day, for me, it's there's much bigger things going on in the world right now, especially, and then, there's a lot of other business that we need to tend to. I personally just don't think this is a good use of the board's time.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Let's see, anyone else? I don't see anything else. As far as the overall item,
Wade's hand up.
so right, he just put it up right after. Okay, I'll go ahead, Wade. I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to find out, I'm assuming that the city is asking you to endorse a policy. And what is being presented here was Brian saying, look, it's so damn confusing. Here's what I'm writing, which is a clearer version with all the other stuff removed from it so that you could understand what it is. But what I didn't understand was were you being asked to say, yes, we've read your policy, city, that you're trying to make us sign and say that we agree to, but we're saying we only understand it, and what we understand is this document, because I don't think that's going to fly with the city of Los Angeles. It doesn't make any difference. Once you sign a document as provided by the city of Los Angeles, you're on the hook. And I don't mean to say that, well, I'm looking at another document here and that's what I understand it to be. That's not going to work, I don't think. But anyway, that's what I wanted to ask my question, because I wasn't quite sure what you were trying to do, and I apologize for interrupting you.
No, thank you. It's okay, thank you. Sid?
Yeah, I just want to clarify two things. What I think is going on as we're presenting this, as Brian and I'm seconding this, that Granada Hills accepts this amendment to the code of conduct presented by Bonk. And the second question is that in the past, we had a code of conduct. All we had to do was said we read it and sign it. That was all that was asked. And now the new terminal is accepting this code of conduct. And Brian and his wisdom has changed the wording of accepting again to understanding. And whether the city will accept it or not, I don't know. But that's a point of view, at least from some of the members of the board, that this was in the past was merely signing the code of conduct. And now we're going to say we understand the code of conduct. And Brian has simplified it in a way that looks at all the various parameters of discrimination and insult in a less definitive term. If you read the red line document, it goes on for numbers of pages for things that can be interpreted as something that is microaggression or discrimination or insulting or demeaning or marginalizing or whatever. So I hope that clarifies it.
Can I respond for a second, Oscar?
Yeah, of course, go for it.
The purpose, my purpose was to create a document that did exactly the same thing that we all are looking for, which is give people the guidance to act properly. The problem with going to what Bonk has written and all the examples and all the issues is that it opens the door to anybody and everybody to criticize and accuse any person for anything that they find that they are offended by. When you open that door that wide, you are asking for abuse. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody can't come to us and say, I don't like what this person said. And it can be an allegation, and it can be adjudicated. What I've changed in this is I've allowed that to be part of the analysis and investigation, and I have changed it where Dunn does not have the sole authority to do whatever they damn well please based on their investigation. I've made it so that they have to be in collaboration with the council. I think the council itself is the first line of defense against code of conduct. The council should be willing, able, and gutsy enough to say to one of its members, what you said is not appropriate. I'm watching this go down every month at Granada Hills South. There are statements being made there that if I was involved with that council, I would be appalled and I would be placing grievances. And unfortunately, no code of conduct can be written that will address every possible issue. And yet that's what Bonk tried to do. They put 12 pages out to try and address every issue, and all they did is they gave every person on the earth the opportunity to attack somebody because they didn't like what they said. They offended me for this reason, they offended me for that reason, they were discriminatory, they were this, they were that. And none of it is valid unless investigated to determine whether or not there was actually something wrong. And that should come from the person who is offended by having the person actually say, I don't like what happened, I don't like what this person did, I'm placing a grievance. That's where that should come from. It shouldn't be automatic in some code of conduct that you've accepted and you've said, whatever you say, I guess I'm responsible for. And that's what the bonk does. This one allows us the opportunity to understand what we're up against, understand the responsibility we have to be fair and equitable with everybody, and it allows for anyone who is offended to place a grievance. And I for one would like to, I mean, if our council could find its way to agreeing, I would take this to VANC, I would take this to LANC, I would take this to every single NC, because that's the only way you would get something accomplished. But, you know, I understand that there's a lot of emotion behind this, and I understand that people are afraid. They think somehow that a document is going to protect them. But in this situation, this document that Bonk is doing is not protecting. It's actually opening the door for anybody to abuse somebody. And that's unfortunate.
What I do see here is, so I understand where you're coming from, Brian, and you make good points. And further to that, I will agree, because there is in this document, what it's lacking is that it doesn't clearly state that an individual who does fall under that, guys, who is being, let's say, you know, pointed out or alleged, it doesn't clearly state that that person has a due process. That's something that is lacking here. And I think it's something that we should consider adding.
I'm certainly, Oscar, I'm certainly open to any suggestions. I'm not saying this is a
right. No, but
complete.
I understand where you're coming from. You're not saying necessarily change the body of the actual code of conduct document, but you're talking about this page here that has to do with the action or the consequences of, you know, that other document. So,
Oscar, I've put in this document where anything that is offensive can be adjudicated by bringing it to Bonk and to the council. I think that gives anybody the right to question whether or not conduct was improper. But I agree with you. I mean, if there is some language that somebody wants to add, you want to add anybody, that tightens up the opportunity for someone to air his grievance, I'm good with that. I'm just not willing to personally agree to accept a responsibility for something that I don't know what I'm accepting responsibility for. Because the document that they're talking about is saying you accept responsibility. You said you agreed with this. And now that you agreed with this and you accepted the terms, I can judge you. And I don't think that's fair.
Okay. Thank you. Karen, you've got the floor.
Yes. You know, Alfredo's not here, so I'm sure in the minutes, whether it was was it March or April? I'm sure that we went over this. This has come up so many times. And didn't we make some amendments to this language, which we agreed we were going to remove certain or revise certain sentences. And then we did add the due process, because that was actually a contribution from Ralph to make sure there was due process. And then what I added, which I just said, was adding the final decision for any suspensions or removals to be under the Arts, Parks, Neighborhoods, Education Committee from the City Council. So it seems like we've already worked on this. It's been around so often that, but it seems as though we've already worked on this. I don't know if it's bounced around so much that we never finalized it, but didn't we vote on this already?
We may have. You make a good point. We may have.
If we did, I don't remember it.
Because we had a special meeting once with Sid, with Citywide. And I mean, this has come up so often. And what I would like to propose is that we try to get this wrapped up so we can move on to handling the people's business. Because over the months, there's pieces of legislation that have come up, and we don't know anything about it because we keep going back and forth over the code of conduct policy because board members don't want to be accountable for behavior, is the way I look at it. Yes, there needs to be some due process, but we have to handle the people's business. We need to inform our stakeholders. There are things going on that we find out when we get stuck somewhere because we keep only talking about this one thing. So if we can do whatever we have to do tonight and wrap this up whichever way so that we can move on with the people's business in our new term.
All right, Sid, you've got the floor.
Thanks again. The reason it's come before us is that Bonk put together a whole new document that was not there in our original discussions. They brought out this red line document that did not exist. They changed the whole code of conduct that we had discussed before and brought forth a whole new one. And that's why it's come forward. So in fact, we did discuss code of conduct and we had to come to a resolution. And then Bonk came out with a whole new document about a month and a half ago, in which they presented all these changes and all these additions that were not present before. So that's why we're discussing it. And again, I understand that may not be as pertinent, but if the board members are not comfortable in having a discussion freely, it's really hard to do the people's business. That's my feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Alvin?
I'll throw in that, I mean, I'm open to an amendment as well to at least allow the language in there in, the due process. I mean, just as long as, just as long as, we could kind of, push this along. I mean, I understand due process is in the interest of fairness, but, just echoing our vice president, as long as, this is like, this will put us on the pathway to finalize this.
Okay, I agree. All right, I think I don't see any other hands, so let's move forward and decide, do we want to present these changes with an amendment or an addition of making sure that it does state that each individual is allowed or should be given due process before any action is taken. What's that?
I say you shall use due process. It's the right you have.
Okay, so at this juncture, then do we move forward then and take a position?
Oscar, let's this probably won't set well with you, Sid. Let's send this back to committee and add a due process statement. And if anybody else has a statement, I would recommend that they review it and identify anything that they would like to change in it. And we will take another stab at writing this up one more time.
Okay, I support that suggestion. Sid, you had your hand
Yeah.
up?
The reason they're coming to a conclusion pretty quickly within a month or so. And we didn't have a committee meeting last month. We didn't have a quorum. And we had to bring this up through the executive committee. I think that's plain. We, as Karen pointed out, we have other resolutions that we can attach to this that have already been passed about due process. And I think this is a rewriting of that red line document. And so I don't think it has to come back to committee. The committee can go through the archives and just bring forward the other decisions that were made in previous months. But this is addressing a new issue, which Bonk and Dunn want to move on very quickly. And we have to get our word in quickly. Otherwise, we'll have no word about it.
So,
so I'm speaking against tabling. I'm saying we should pass this, and that we'll put together the other in a new document and then vote on that. But I think we should at least go on record we're supporting this part.
Well, if we make the statement that that we would support the document as long as it's reviewed and its final version is accepted.
when is that final version?
Well, the only thing I can think of is, short of a special meeting, would have to be in July.
So right now, June, I mean, we could schedule a special meeting. So right now, so the motion is that we move forward, or at least take a position on this one with the caveat that it is a draft. It's not the final version. And it will be cleaned up. Is that my understanding?
We agree in concept, but we reserve right to approve a final version.
Point of order, though, wouldn't you have to make an amendment then?
Yes. Correct, Alvin.
So then technically, if we're making an amendment, then...
Well, wait a minute, there's no motion actually made.
There was no motion. Okay, so then what is it exactly that we are going to take a position on?
Well, then it says discussion and motion to approve. So can we just make a motion to add language as stated here and then get it uploaded to the CIS? Well, I don't think we need to go back and forth. Can we just like wrap it up now?
Okay, so discussion motion to approve CIS with additional language to include.
So to your point with the due process and final word of any suspension and removal by the City Council, Arts, Parks and Neighborhoods and Education, etc. committee.
I would completely agree with Karen's position on the committee being a final judge.
Because it takes it out of the power of one person. It should never be the power of any one person. So
correct.
That will clean that up.
Well, that's the reason I made the changes in here, but I agree with that also.
Okay.
I'll second that amendment.
Well, I think that's the motion in total.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not an amendment, Sid. It's the motion.
Well,
read off.
Right, because we didn't have a motion, so we're just making the motion and
there
adding.
was possible motion. Okay, I have no objection to that. Okay. I just want to get it passed personally.
Okay. let's just call it a wrap, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Take a vote and be done.
So we do have to take a vote on that, okay? All right. let's do this. Now, I think we still have quorum. Good. Okay, so any opposed to this motion? State your name.
Oscar, I'm opposed. Denitza.
Okay. Any others? State your name. I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name.
Abstain, Graham.
Was that Graham? Okay.
Yep.
Any others? Okay. Those in favor, then I'm looking at the roster. We've got 11 present. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, which is quorum. So therefore, that leaves a balance of 9 in favor. Okay, so someone's going to write that up and go from there.
We'll get that done.
We'll get that done. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
You have a council file on that, by the way? Is it the same council file?
It's not a council file yet. Bonk is.
It's not a council file.
There is a.
Oh.
It's been changed. There was a council file, and with the new red line, it's changed. I can get the new number for you. So, okay. I don't have the new number yet.
Yeah.
All righty. So let's move on. Time check. It is 8:30. Item G, Treasurer Report. Brian, you have the floor.
We have 2 MERs to approve, review and approve. I believe everybody has them. The April was sent out a month ago, and the May I was just able to download, and that everybody has as well.
So here's April.
Again, we haven't been making a lot of expenditures, so if you move up just a little bit, you've got Mission Hills and you've got Aaron Devandry. You
need some more?
Oh, these were the banners for the shred event and the offsite, the shredding and the shredding cost for the shred event.
Okay. Do you need me to move down, scroll down further?
You can show them
the receipt
if you want. Anybody have any questions? We still have $17,000 available. Of course, in April we had more, but as of May we're at $17,000. We can no longer write any checks as of June 1st. We were shut down till July.
Okay, so I second the motion. Is that what we call it?
Yeah. I'll put forth the motion to approve the April MER.
Okay, and I'll second that.
And if there's no other discussion, we'll take a vote on it. And see if I have a pen here that writes. Okay, so I am a yes. Karen?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Oscar?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Denitza?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
And that's 11 yeses, unanimous. Thank you very much. And then we have May.
Which is on the screen now.
And as of right now, we have $17,000 sitting there. We have a little less than that because I paid the June concept to web and the June storage. An interesting thing here in and I have to tell you about this because it's so stupid I can't believe it myself. The Devonshire Solid NPG. I've been trying to find out why it was denied. City clerk denied it. And they gave me the explanation that they denied it because the address was different on the payment request than on the NPG. And I said, really? What was the difference? And I got a response that the addresses were different. And I sent another request to tell me what is the difference, and I got the same response. And I sent another request, and I got the same response. Finally, I got it from Melvin. I sent Melvin a fourth response, and I specifically detailed what's the difference in the addresses. Why what is there a specific thing that is different? Because I looked at both, and they're the same from what I see. Now maybe my eyes don't work, but I didn't see a difference. And you know that what I got back as a response was, we've decided that we have sent a check to Solid at that address before, therefore we're going to go ahead and do a custodial payment on this and re-enter it and pay it. But I have yet to receive any response that details a difference in the address that they said was on the application for the payment and the NPG. I still don't know what's going on. It is the most bizarre thing that I've seen out of city clerk in the 6 years I've been doing this. So anyway, it got paid miraculously. So that's why we have $17,000, and that's it. Any questions?
So does it get rolled over at the end of the fiscal year?
Okay, if I believe you all have the administrative packet to review, and don't discuss it at this point. It's not on the agenda, and it would be a serial meeting if we discussed it, so we won't do that. But you do have it to review, and bring your questions on that to the July meeting. To answer your question about rollover, there is a $10,000 rollover that won't be approved until August. That's the reason I didn't force a approval on the administrative packet and budget for June, because
Not on agenda.
we want to have that rollover in there. I am suggesting that we address the approval of the administrative packet and budget in the first meeting in July, or in July, and that'll allow me to upload the budget without the 10,000 until they actually approve the 10,000, and then I'll modify the budget to include the 10,000, which hopefully we will approve in July. The only thing that we will be missing is we wouldn't be able to make any payments larger than $333 in July until we approve it, and the meeting I think is on the 2nd of July or something like that. So I don't believe there's an issue here, but certainly listening to any comments.
Okay.
So,
We're
no other
good.
questions?
We're good, yep.
Okay, so we're ready to vote?
Yep.
All right. I am a yes. Brian? Karen?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Oscar?
Yes.
Rahim?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Denitza?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
And Graham?
Yes.
And again, 11-0. Thank you. We're done with that. All right, so what do we have left? We have the CAG, but nothing's happening on the CAG. We can kind of ignore that for now. I made my statement earlier with Blake. And the budget advocates That's an issue. Well, the budget advocates have finalized everything for this year. We're working on budget day, which is June 25th, I think. Uh, no,
And that's virtual,
June
right?
18th. June 18th, and uh, the elections for budget advocate are going to be on the 25th and 26th. Region 2, which is us, the election for budget advocates will be on the 26th, Sunday, at 1 o'clock. Anybody that wants to be at that meeting, uh, the uh, the Zoom address will be on our website, I believe, but I'll try and get it out to everybody quickly. The requirement is that the budget reps for each NC be at these meetings in order to be there to vote for the next budget advocates. And right now, the 3 budget advocates for Region 2 are Glenn Bailey, Gary Fordyce, and myself. And I believe that the budget reps for Granada Hills North is myself and who is the other one now? I think it was Mike, and we haven't.
Mike, that's right.
Yeah, we haven't appointed another one. And I should have thought of that, so we could have done it here in this meeting, but I didn't, so we can't, and so we will not have a budget rep appointed. But by default, the treasurer and the president are budget reps. So, Oscar, you certainly are able to attend that meeting and vote as president and
on the 26th. Okay.
On the 26th, correct?
Okay. Just send me the link so I can put it on my calendar.
Will do.
Please.
Other than that, budget advocates are still embroiled in God knows what this is, but it's a 1120 is a council file. They're trying to change the name of the fund which the budget advocates use to conduct its business monetarily. They're trying to change the reading of budget advocates and wherever it shows up in the charter to budget advocacy. We're not exactly sure why this is happening. This is a Raquel issue. She has determined that it should be budget advocacy because budget advocacy is in the charter, but for some reason she does not want to work with budget advocates anymore. I mean, it's just the way we feel, and it's what she seems to be doing. So the budget advocates do not have the ability to raise funds from NCs under the name budget advocates. They have the ability to raise funds under the name budget advocacy. However, there are two different budget advocacy operations that we know of, and I presume that one could make the claim that any neighborhood council could tap into budget advocacy funds because they are budget advocacy capable entities for the city. That is the right of the NCs is to do budget investigation and evaluation of the city. Therefore, we don't know how much money we have to spend. And we don't know if we're ever going to know if we have X amount of money because budget tribunes and budget advocates both are at the moment sharing the same account, which makes little to no sense whatsoever. We couldn't put on a $50,000 budget day in person as we have for years, decades, because we wouldn't know if we have $50,000 available because it's not associated directly to budget advocates. So there is a council file to make a change, and every council is asked to weigh in on this, write a CIS, and write personal statements to the council file in order to address these issues as to whether they believe that the budget advocates do need to have funds available to them, and if an NC wants to donate funds to the budget advocates, they would like to know that the money is being made available to the budget advocates. Nobody is asking that the budget tribunes be not allowed to raise money. They certainly may also. We're not trying to get in their way, but for some reason, they're trying to maintain the concept of a budget advocacy fund alone. So that's the strange environment that we find ourselves in at the moment. Where it's going, what's going to happen, I have no idea. We've had one meeting with John Lee. I had a meeting with John Lee. We had a meeting with his staff, Eric King, and we're trying to get a meeting with Kokorian, and I'm personally going to try and get a meeting with Bloomfield and see if we can't raise some points and solve this issue. If you have any questions about that or guidance or ideas, certainly listening. But it is a very strange situation.
Okay, Brian, thank you. Sid, quickly, only because it's 8:44 and I really
I'll
want
I'll try to make fast. I was at the like meeting, this came up, and I was going to put it on the agenda for our next citywide issues committee to look at what's going on. And just for your information, the bill has been changed, or the council file is now 20-1536-S1. It used to be 11-1020-S3. And John Lee is the person who introduced this motion. So,
yes, he is.
So I'm disappointed his representative was not here tonight. So anyway.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Joint committee report, there is none. There was no meeting. And Thomas is not here. Emergency preparedness, same thing. We move on. Citywide issues. As Sid mentioned, they did not have quorum, so there was no meeting. And so let's move on to outreach. Karen, you've got the floor.
Okay. Thank you. Well, first I want to start by saying thank you to the Outreach and Publicity Committee for a great year. Great meetings, great dialogue, great outreach in the community. So thank you to Graham, Jason, and Alvin. They're a great team and I appreciate them very much. Oh, and starting with item number 1, Brian said that we can roll over the, we're rolling over $10,000, right, Brian?
That's correct.
So we can skip item number 1 then, or do we want to?
I think we can. I think we just.
Well, can I address item number 1?
Sure.
Sure.
As I mentioned earlier, there is no way to make a payment by check for the rest of this year.
That's okay.
And there is no such thing as encumbering this year.
Okay.
Right. So the motion is impossible.
It's a moot point. That's why she's saying let's move on then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So then we will table that for now then.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. And we will do the same with item number 2. Since this is
now item number 2, Karen, if you want to move forward on this and you believe that you can order the signs, we can pay for that on the credit card.
Oh.
And
we still have until the 20th to do that.
Okay. All right. Then I will.
But with that said, Karen, sorry, do we have the template for that already, or is that going to take time to do?
Well, they were designed, the way this came up was actually thanks to our president, Oscar, and this was pre-approved, but because of the problems we have had with the city, we introduced a new motion to avoid any hassles with the city. And I don't think anyone will dispute that based on our experience. So specifically, this means as we fund projects that are completed in the community, these signs, which were designed by Jason Lester, and he has the template and everything for them, would just state that the project was complete, or was courtesy of Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council. And so it was a great idea, and so that's what it's for.
Great. So we do have the, okay, so we do have the template. Okay, perfect. So that's not gonna waste any time. So it's just a matter of
Okay,
getting it done.
so
Perfect.
if there aren't any questions, Brian, go for it.
Well, I have a question. The
Mhm.
signs, are these generic signs?
What do you mean?
In other words, do they have to be branded? Do they state exactly what the project is or anything of that nature?
No, it just says courtesy of Granada
Okay,
Hills North Neighborhood Council
Then,
for,
then if you want to vote for this, if the council wants to vote for this, I only make one caveat, and that is we would have to place the order immediately and pay for it before the 20th of June. As
okay,
long as we do that, we're good. Doesn't matter when we put them up.
okay. I'll get what I need from Jason and we'll get it done.
I have
Okay,
it pulled up now. I don't know if there's any, if I should send it to anybody or just wait till after the meeting.
You have
Okay.
what, Jason?
I have it up right now.
Oh, would you like to share it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let
I
me
don't know how
give
to
you video.
see it.
Let me make you co-host.
Oh,
and
please.
share.
Thank you,
So you can
Jason.
share. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Jason.
Sure.
So you should have sharing capability now.
Share screen. Yes. Did it work?
yep.
Yes,
Yep.
looks great.
Are these metal signs?
No, it's digital.
They're they're like lawn signs, right? Is that what
They were going to put them on a outdoor UV, like a non-fading plastic sign with the metal things that stick in the ground.
Oh, okay.
cool?
Very
That'll be
nice.
handy. Okay, any questions, anybody?
Can just one thing, actually, if it's not too late or it doesn't take too long, could we put the GHNNC website on there?
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
easy.
What's that?
That's easy. I can easily.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I
just
think
to-
it's a good idea.
Just to have residents or whoever see it access our website. I mean, I would think someone might be curious.
Maybe even our email address.
Yeah, there's definitely room, I think, on both sides of the logo underneath where it's service courtesy of
It
Granada
looks
Hills.
great
I
though,
think
Jason.
that'll be easy.
Yeah, but if we can just have that, that would be great.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Easy.
Cool.
Beautiful work. Yes, thank you.
Wade, did you have a question?
Yes,
Just
Wade.
asking, do you need the word service? Would it not be better to make courtesy of Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council, make that larger?
Want
And
to get rid
then-
of service? Yeah, I guess.
I only reason I asked the word service is because you may be doing some project that, there may be a project. It may be, I don't know what service really means. So I just say courtesy of Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council was plenty. But
Well-
that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Well, the idea is that there was a tree that was dead. Tree is removed and we funded it, then the sign goes where the tree used to be.
I think in that case, courtesy of Granada Hills is just as good.
Yes. Looks great, Jason.
No,
Okay, Brian, please go
Bigger.
ahead.
Okay, no more questions. We'll vote on this. Brian is a yes. Karen,
Yes.
Sid. Sid,
Person.
Yes.
thank you. Oscar,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Denitza,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
and Graham.
Yes.
11, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. And with respects to time, if it's okay with everyone, since we will be discussing, we have time for election outreach, we can table items 3 and 4 and discuss those in July if you like, so we can move things along.
Sounds good.
And then just on the 23rd of June, we will have a special meeting Understanding Responsible Pet Ownership. And that will be, that's a Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And Officer Sellers was working with the Secret Service and is deployed downtown right now. So he will get back to me with the date for the active shooter town hall, which will be virtual. The last time he did this for us, it was outstanding. Oscar, I forgot who else was there. Alvin was there. Richard was there.
It was very informative.
So we're, based on these times, we're gonna have that done again. And then our outreach committee is taking suggestions for any events for 2022 and 2023. And I will share with you for the month of June. Of course, congratulations to all graduates for the class of 2022. This is Pride Month for the LGBTQ community. The Juneteenth is on June 19th, and it's now a paid city holiday. So if you're a city employee, that is now paid.
I mean, you just reminded me, I should have been wearing my hat.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So, and Juneteenth, for those who may not understand it, is when African Americans actually celebrate independence, because on July 4th, 1776, slaves were not free. So that's why Juneteenth has had more, prevalence now, and is when we celebrate. And then Father's Day to all the fathers and grandfathers and uncles, happy Father's Day. And we have a couple of fun things just for some laughs. We have June 16th is Fresh Veggies Day. June 17th is National Eat Your Vegetables Day. June 18th is Sushi Day. And June 20th, Capri Maddox will be the guest of the United Chambers. She's been our guest many times. She is the executive director of the Civil and Human Rights Department. The 25th of June is Take Your Dog to Work Day.
And may I add something, Karen?
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know, Juneteenth, that is the celebration of the last slave to be freed. That is what that day is.
Really?
Yeah, well, that too, but moreover, it was the final independence, because Texas, after their slaves in Texas actually didn't know for 2 years that they were free. So
also true.
Oh, and anyway, moving on. So take your dog to work day on the 25th. And that is it. And everyone, hopefully we can wrap it up so we can watch the elections.
Okay, so before, Wade, you have your hand up before I get to you. I'm not ignoring you. Karen, going back to that special meeting that you want, item 5, is that going to be a virtual meeting?
Yes,
okay,
and I'll get you the info.
Send me the details so I can set up a Zoom, send you all the credentials, and we'll go from there.
Okay,
cool.
All right. Wade, did you have a question for me?
That was my question. Thank you, Oscar.
Oh,
you're very welcome.
Thank you. Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you, Karen. And moving on then to public safety, Nathan.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Oscar, for the handoff there. So there's 3 items on the public safety committee report tonight. Item L1 is the first of the 3 items. And item L1 is discussion and potential motion regarding Rinaldi at Aliso Canyon, RV and large vehicle illegal parking and safety issues. It's a motion to request that the GHNNC send a letter to Councilmember John Lee that the Sunshine Amenities Fund be used to supplement towing of these RVs and large vehicles. As the board is probably aware, we've been receiving a lot of concerns from stakeholders regarding Rinaldi at Aliso Canyon, regarding the RVs and large vehicles. Certain stakeholders include Mr. Richard Fisk, Ms. Kelsey Hawthorne. Recently, a Afi Ali Abad complained over the weekend regarding junk and debris that's left on the sidewalk at Rinaldi. As you might be aware, the Public Safety Committee has been constantly reaching out to Colin Cruz at Councilmember John Lee's office to no avail. Recently, we've made efforts to reach out to Aline Sahajian, who's the city attorney. We've also reached out to Suzette Baladaire's office. So we're doing everything we can, but we're trying to come up with creative ways to improve the conditions at Rinaldi by Aliso Canyon. And one of our ideas was to come up with this item L1 regarding a letter to John Lee to use the Sunshine Amenities Fund to be used to supplement, to go above and beyond the issues regarding tow trucks not being as incentivized enough to maybe tow vehicles away from there. So that was one creative idea that we've came up with. So with that, I'll open it up for discussion.
I think it's a great idea, Nathan. Thank you to the committee for coming up with that. And I support the idea. So Sid, you've got your hand. You've got the floor.
No, are we voting on this? There's a couple of public safety issues I wanted to bring up. So just want to know whether I can do that or not.
You want to bring up some public issues that can be discussed in committee? Is that?
Yeah, so I just want to refer to committee.
Well, let's first focus on these items, and then once he gets through the third one, let's by all means feel free to bring up those ideas. Sid?
Thank you.
Sure, Karen.
Oh, I just want to commend Nathan and the committee. These are excellent, and I'm happy to second the motion on this.
Okay, before we do, Richard has his hand up. Richard, you have. Oh, sorry. There you go, sir.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thanks, Nathan, for taking more of the reins on this issue. We talked about it today at Granada's Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs. Representative from Sheila Kuehl's office was there. We're talking about it, and she says you should contact LASA, because don't forget these are real people living in there, and they need to be outreached. We said it's a traffic hazard. So anyway, it was reiterated today and taken back by Sharon Bronson, and more pictures were given to her. So getting more heat from all angles. Thanks, Nathan.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. So shall we move forward and take a vote, a position on this?
I'll second that.
Okay, perfect. So Nathan, did you want me to take the roll or?
Yes, please.
Okay, so those opposed, state your name, please. I hear none. Any abstentions, state your name. I hear none, therefore this motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you,
The floor.
Mr. President. Item L2 is the next item on our agenda. It's discussion and potential motion regarding motion to request that GHNNC send a letter to the Los Angeles Fire Department to enforce brush restrictions that private landowners are required to clear brush on both sides of Cessnon, and the Department of Transportation to install signage regarding very high fire hazard severity zone on both sides of Cessnon. As the board may be aware, this is now fire season, and fire is a concern to all stakeholders in Granada Hills North. This also crosses over slightly into an issue regarding a homeless encampment that was raised by a concerned stakeholder who only provided his email address. It was vpost@icloud.com. He complained on May 20th about a homeless encampment that was on the bluff north of Cessnon, across from the Classics. I think that was also highlighted in a KCAL9 news special as well. So again, fire is a concern to everybody. I know as a homeowner myself in Granada Hills North, I've received notices to clear the brush and debris on the hillsides around my home. So with that, I'll open it up for discussion on item L2.
Thank you, Nathan. Graham, you've got the floor.
Yeah, in regards to that complaint over by Classics, I did reach out to Mirica about that in Council Member Lee's office, and she got back to me and said there are no encampments up there, but forwarded it to her colleague in that office, Matthew Hernandez, who's the lead on this. That's all I heard. And I drove by there. We discussed this in outreach as well. And I didn't see anything. I don't know if it's might be above, like out of view, but there was no trails or trash or anything, which is, kind of like odds considering that you would probably see at least something. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on,
thought
but
they had already cleared it out, didn't they?
I believe so. And this was 4 days ago that Mirka emailed me and said that there's nothing up there, and she forwarded it to Matthew.
I believe John or someone in his office mentioned that the police had already cleared that area out.
Okay, well that's good. And then there was a vehicle up there as well that I saw when I drove by that was like on the side of the bluff. Someone tried to drive up there. It was like one of those buses, shuttles or something. It was bizarre. It was
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that as well. It looked like an old, like
Yeah.
a church bus almost or something.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if they got that out of there, but they should probably do that because who knows if there's gas in the tank or,
Sure.
someone messes with that. So I don't know about that. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Graham.
Okay. Any other hands? I don't see any. Okay. So let's move on then and take a vote. Okay, any opposed? State your name, please. I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name. I hear none. Therefore, this motion passes with 11 unanimously with 11 votes. Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. President. With that, we'll go to the next item, item L3, and that's discussion and potential motion to ask Department of Transportation and Caltrans to look into signage on the 118 westbound off-ramp, restricting turns from the furthermost right turn lane, attempting to turn left onto Rinaldi. That intersection is not to be blocked, and LAPD to take enforcement action. Also, City Department of Transportation and Caltrans to investigate a Waze proposal for White Oak off-ramp to address ongoing growth of community and right-of-way, westbound exit to Rinaldi. Oscar is sharing his screen. It's a draft letter that the Public Safety Committee put together as a draft letter as to what we would be sending out, which encompasses the issues that are raised in item L3. I would like to just bring to everyone's attention that part of the concern that was brought to our attention was from our fellow board member, Jason Lester, regarding the 118 westbound off-ramp and the restriction of turns. For those of you that may know, when you exit the 118 westbound off-ramp exiting towards Balboa, cars a lot of times will be in the furthermost right lane. And what they'll do is they'll try to, when they're heading northbound Balboa, they'll try to swerve across the 3 lanes to get into the further left lane to make the left turn onto Rinaldi. For whatever reason, that intersection is just very poorly designed, and there's just not a lot of space. There's a lot of vehicles trying to go northbound on Balboa, and it's creating all types of congestion at that intersection. And this ties into the other issue in L3, which is the request that City DOT and Caltrans investigate Waze proposal for White Oak off-ramp to address the ongoing growth of our community in Granada Hills North, as well as Porter Ranch, and to try to figure out ways, smart ways to try to reduce traffic and congestion at both intersections, the 118 westbound off-ramp at Balboa, and then also possibly a proposal to investigate the White Oak off-ramp to address the growth concerns in our community. So with that, I'll open it up for discussion.
Here's a map too, if anybody wants to see them.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Oscar.
Sure. Yeah, no. I'm just kind of quickly scrolling through, but if anybody wants me to move back, this we're looking at 118 and what's that, Balboa? Yep, Balboa. Okay. And here, White Oak and Encino. Okay. All right. Any questions? I see a lot of questions. Mr. Allen, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I just thought I would remind everybody we're living in a situation that harkens back to 1978 when the freeway was in process of being built. It ended here at Balboa. you got off the freeway at Balboa and you quickly made a left turn onto Rinaldi and drove down to DeSoto in order to get back on the freeway to go to Simi Valley. It was a horrendous environment. There was backup onto the freeway for cars that were trying to get off on Balboa in order to go through. Those of you who've lived here long enough or have lived long enough to know that that existed, that's the reason, I believe, why they made, one of the reasons they made the White Oak off-ramps but never paved them is because I think they intended to open them at that time. Now, why they never opened those, I have no idea, and I think it's important that we do try to find out. But the idea that we have here is put forward because the Balboa, as we all know, is an anti-gridlock environment, and that intersection shouldn't be blocked ever, the off-ramp at Balboa from the 118, but it's blocked on a regular basis during rush hour, and the traffic congestion and the problem trying to get cars onto Rinaldi westbound is really horrendous these days and shouldn't exist. But we know it exists because of Reseda, and at this moment anyway, it's, I should say, enhanced. It's not because of. But the White Oak situation is why it was never put in service, I don't know, as I said earlier, but I know that and this was Wade's idea, if we were to get them to open the westbound off-ramp, it would allow for cars to come off at White Oak and make a left turn onto Rinaldi safely. And the suggestion is that there be a cement barrier placed in the middle of the road so that cars coming off at White Oak going westbound may not go left, may not turn left and go down White Oak. They would have to turn right to go up to Rinaldi, which is a very short couple hundred feet. So that's the idea behind this and why it's written the way it is.
Thank you, sir. Alvin?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to echo, the concerns about the congestion off of Balboa. I mean, like for me, going up to Melviny on a Sunday, even sometimes I experience the congestion. I think my only question to the Public Safety Committee, though, is if this was to pass, if it would eventually be proposed to our state representatives, considering, that's technically in their jurisdiction.
That's a good point. And I would think that it would be coordinated with, if it is a state agency. It would have to be, right? Good point, Alvin. Sid?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Brian's commentary. If my memory serves correctly, the White Oak off-ramp was never completed because the people in the neighborhood didn't want it. That there was an objection to finishing it. I may be wrong, but being here a few years, my memory, it was discussed and it never went through. Maybe again, we should be talking to our stakeholders in that area, see what their feelings would be to opening a White Oak off-ramp before we go ahead and say that's our proposal. I think we'd have to get some sort of support from them. And that's just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Wade?
Yes, that's why the letter is very specific, okay, as to what the original objections were to the people from Granada Hills South, which was, the first one was, we want to protect the deodar trees down there. We're afraid of that. Plus, we don't want all that traffic coming through the neighborhood. That's why there's only the westbound exit. Remember, there's an eastbound exit and a westbound exit constructed for White Oak, and they were intended to be active, but were never activated. We're only asking for the westbound one. And what we ask for is a center divider that prevents anybody from being able to turn left to the south, okay? Now, this is all on our side of the freeway. It's all within Granada Hills North. But again, we took great care to specify that it has to have that center divider to prevent any traffic from going to the south. So all we're doing is we've got exactly the same situation that exists at Balboa right now. They come off, they make a right-hand turn and then a left-hand turn. That's it in a short distance. It's a little bit longer up there, not a whole lot. It's a little bit more distance, but now you're putting it onto a quiet street that doesn't have a lot of issues the same. It's not a major highway like ours, and it's still in our community. But what it does do, it provides an additional access for the people over in Porter Ranch, and interestingly, for those people who live in Granada Hills in the northwestern portion, because right now they have to come off at Balboa too and make that same turn on Rinaldi to get over to their community. So we're helping out everybody. So it was very, very specific. Now, that's why I've put in there, anybody's, quite happy to have Granada Hills South look at it. I've addressed the issues, but we need to ask for this because the situation is becoming untenable, okay, at the off-ramp on Balboa. It's a nightmare. And it's not just on during the week either. As I said, it's on the weekends. It's all times of the day, different times of the day. And it's not just confined to the westbound traffic coming home on a regular work day. It's happening all the time. And again, Reseda is compounding the problem right now because of the 6-month closure, because those people that were getting off there are now getting off here. And that's why we also split up the proposal so that it was in 2 sections. And then we talked about the Balboa exit and Balboa Boulevard to the Havenhurst, sorry. Havenhurst has to be designated by LADOT as the official route. Right now, I picked up on, they were saying on the radio, oh, come off at Balboa Boulevard. Guess what? They are coming off, and I don't know if one of the.
Sorry, wait. I know it's already 9:15. So
yeah, I'm sorry, but I just wanted you to know a great deal of thought went into trying to address every issue that we could think of that would make it palatable. And this would be a short-term thing anyway. This is something that's going to take a while to do. So,
there's going to be a lot of coordination with different agencies. So
yeah, and it wouldn't happen overnight. This is this thing would take probably a couple of years to get it done. Yeah.
But the ball has to get started. We have to roll it, right?
Yes.
Karen.
Yes, thank you. Again, great motion. My suggestion is to send this to, I don't think we know who our senator will be yet, but to the assembly member who is elected, as well as the senator, because it is a state matter. But great motion.
All right, I think that's it. Let's close it for discussion so we can move on. So with that, let's take a position. All right, so any opposed to this, please state your name. I hear none. Any abstentions, state your name. I hear none. Therefore, this item passes with a unanimous vote. All right, although, hold on, Richard. I mean, we did the vote, but Richard, you had your hand up, so go ahead. Richard?
Hi, it's Maria.
Oh, hi, Maria.
Hi, good evening. Just a little bit of history. We really need to get some input from the neighbors. It is not just about a quiet street. It's about the historic cultural monuments, the deodar trees. And we really have gone through many years of community involvement and protection and rallies and so forth to have those deodars protected. If there can be, I understand the concerns about the traffic, if there can be some kind of guarantees made that the traffic will not be rerouted down White Oak, because those are shallow rooted trees and they are really at risk with a lot of traffic. Arborist once told us that they could be at risk of dying. So if you all could kindly get involved with the South Council, input from the neighbors. This has been an ongoing protection kind of a thing to really make sure that the traffic doesn't get rerouted to White Oak that could compromise our very valuable historic cultural monuments. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Okay.
Oscar, if I may, just one thing. Maria, if you read the proposal, it's in there, it's addressed. There is no traffic going south. Nothing, everything is north of the freeway. Nothing comes your way, period. I was very specific about that.
I heard that and I read that. I'm just reiterating. Yeah.
No, I understand. And we understood your problem. So that's why we put it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on. West Valley Neighborhood Alliance. Graham, you sent out an email earlier.
Yeah, I did. I mean, if you guys want to look that over, I'll keep it real brief. They're just approved waive not taking positions. And if you look at the bottom of the email that I sent, just to kind of lists out, you know, kind of the rules of it as far as voting and making any CISs or anything. Nothing as of yet to bring before the council, but I'll keep you guys posted if something does come up where our vote is integral in making a decision to move forward on some community impact statement or something else that they're taking action on, that I'll bring it, you know, before the council. And then if you just look over anything else on there, if you have any questions or anything, there is a food pantry on Sundays, and some of the attachments that I also sent there on Sunday mornings at the Valley Vineyard in the front parking lot. And then the Trebek Center is now open with 107 beds. And yeah, and there's some forums and other things going on. But yeah, if you want to look that over, any questions or anything, but that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for your involvement with that too, Graham. Much appreciated. Yeah, thank you. And small business representative report.
Nothing.
Okay. Faith-based representative report.
No further comments.
Ralph?
No further comments.
Okay, thank you, sir. We don't have student representative, and so we will move on to the last item, and that's
Oscar, point of order. I'm sorry. Did I hear a vote on that motion that was made for the letter? Did it pass? Because we had somebody come up late, and I don't.
No, it did pass. We did.
Okay, because you were taking notes at the time of objection, etc., and then I don't remember hearing whether or not you actually.
Unanimous.
It was a unanimous pass.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. Clarification is good. Thank you. And thank you guys for all the hard work. Appreciate it. So definitely. Board member announcements, then I will go around and let's start with Mr. Alvin Waters.
Yeah, so just wanted to share real quick. This is related to my work. I will be participating in a community event called Solarthon in Pacoima. I work for the nonprofit Grid Alternatives. So it's actually going to be a community event on Friday, and actually everybody is everyone from different communities is invited to come. It's Wells Fargo has been one of our biggest donors, and many of our other donors will be out there. It's definitely an exciting event that I'm looking forward to.
Great, thank you, sir, and good luck. Have fun. In Pacoima, that's my old hood when I was growing up. I grew up in Pacoima. So, all right, Denitza.
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Lester.
No comments. Good to see everybody. And thank you. And thank you, Nathan, for also mentioning the Balboa exit thing that we discussed. And thank you to Karen, as always, and Oscar for getting me some information on a situation going on in the neighborhood that I have been trying to get some answers on and give to the community. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Great team. Nathan.
No comments, but thanks everybody for a great meeting.
Thank you, sir. Ralph?
Yes. I had a discussion with Senator Hertzberg during the Memorial Day celebration, or after the Memorial Day celebration at the Patriot Cemetery. And my favorite subject is the manual arts programs that I had discussed with him several times before. And he mentioned that with the state's surplus budget, as great as it is, there should be no problem in getting manual arts programs going again. So I hope he's correct on that one.
Well, let's hope so. Thank you. Thank you for following up on it.
That is one of my favorite issues, manual arts program.
No, and let's hope it does come back, Ralph. Thank you so much for bringing it to his attention, and thank you for that update. Okay, and let's see, Raheem.
Yeah, thank you so very much for all the committee and committee members for all your hard work. And secondly, one question to Karen. What was that discussion about recertification? What was the recertification about?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Raheem.
The
recertification?
Yeah, you were in the beginning. We were discussing something about recertification.
Recertification?
He's talking about the
code of
trainings
conduct, the
and
funding.
being up to date on the trainings.
Just make sure that you're up to date, Raheem. So those things came out in the Empower LA, right?
Yes, exactly. Right. Yes.
Oh, yes. There is a newsletter that they send out, actually, probably because no one reads it, but it's near the end of the newsletter. All of our trainings are listed there. So it shows when your expiration dates.
Okay, because the term recertification I'm getting for the first time. It was always like training, completing the training. I never heard the recertification terminology before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, just keep them up every 2 years.
Okay.
Thank you, Raheem. Okay, Sid.
Just a couple things. I'd like to thank Karen for reminding me and doing her diligence about what I have to. And I'd like to make a positive comment about Dunn. I couldn't get into my Cornerstone, and there was someone that Dunn, Kyle Stone, who was responded immediately to all my emails and eventually got me a new password and got me into, so I could complete my certificate, reassigning my code of conduct form. So it's one of the few times that I couldn't believe he or she, I'm not sure, was on top of everything that I asked for and responded very quickly. So a commendation out to Kyle Stone.
Great.
Very cool. Thank you. I'm glad it worked out. Excellent. Good to hear. Good to hear. Okay, and Graham.
No comments. Thanks for a great meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Brian.
I have one little thing.
It's little. Make it quick then.
Good. I was looking out my front window today, and I noticed that the Department of Transportation was right out front of my house. In front of my house is a street light. And he stopped at the street light and started unscrewing the street sign, which said speed limit 35 miles an hour. He took it down. I walked outdoors. I asked him, what is he doing? He says, I'm reducing the speed limit. So Woodley is now down to 30 miles an hour again. So we'll see if that makes any difference to anybody. I doubt it. But they are, in fact, reducing speed limits in our area. That's good news.
interesting. But did they do a study to do that? Because I know they put in the 35 speed.
No, there was a directive earlier this year that said we are going from I forgot whether it's from the mayor or from where that they are going to reduce speed limits in certain areas. We didn't know where, but now I know Woodley was moved from 30 to 35 last year.
Several years ago.
Yeah, and now it's back down to 30.
Oh, good. I think 30 makes more sense.
Absolutely, it won't stop anybody. I mean, we have people jamming up the street all the time, but you know.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Karen.
Just thank you to the board for being a great board and for a great year and a great meeting tonight, and have a good night.
Excellent. All right. And for me, same thing. Thank you. It was a great year and great board. We work well together. This is June. This was a June meeting. So next meeting, July, is going to be a very important meeting because it is based on our bylaws. It is time to do the nominations for officers, and we have to get that going. So, all right. So just make sure that you're here for the July meeting. Okay. Brian, question for you.
Yeah.
Treasurer, is this your third, fourth year?
You kidding?
No.
This is my 7th year.
7th year. Okay. All right. So did we ever at the 4th year? Well, it doesn't matter at this point because the bylaws do indicate that the offices are only 4 years, right? But it can be extended with the approval of the board. So that's why I was asking.
Well, anybody want the job?
No, I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying.
Chance.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we may have to go through formalities just to adhere to our bylaws. So anyway, but with that said, just again, July is going to be one of those meetings. So all right, everyone. But thank you again for everything. Great meeting. Have a wonderful evening, and I'm going to go see what the results are starting to look like.
The results are somebody won and somebody lost.
I've been getting texts like all night, but anyway, I can't say.
Does it matter who won and who lost? Not
Right.
in this state.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Oscar.
Bye-bye.